Welcome everyone. So I had started a video and I thought that it was on this account and it was actually on my other account. So I'm going to restart it here. I might merge the intro for my other one over here, but I'll just give the really short synopsis. So I have 3 different accounts and I finally understood how the 3 different accounts culminate. So essentially my interest is in integration of the masculine and the feminine, and also a re-honoring of feminine-based principles and a clearing away of external structures and systems that confine and bind the feminine and the natural flow and femininity and beauty and creativity, and constrict it in certain ways, and they're intolerant of a lot of aspects of it, intolerant of the rage and the beauty in a certain way, and really tries to confine and constrict it. So if you're interested in learning more about letting go of those structures from the inside out, welcome everyone. Reclaim the Way at Reclaim the Way is focused on letting go of structures from the inside out. This one, Model Traveling, is interested in clearing out structures from the outside in. So beauty, fashion, modeling, travel. It's about more conscious consumerism. I'm good, thanks. How are you? It's about being understanding, because I come from the system. I've modeled my whole life, and an understanding of the system and helping from that place of being on the inside, that inside perspective, helping you, whether you model or not, helping you to see ways in which the industry, the beauty and fashion industry, is like toxic in a lot of ways. I mean, if you think about like actual fashion, so fashion is one of the largest polluters of our environment. Fast fashion. So fast fashion is one of the largest polluters of our environment, and literally those chemicals and stuff used when you sweat, when you wear those clothes, you're literally putting chemicals within you, and those chemicals, welcome everyone, those chemicals we're also putting back in the environment. There's also a lot of inequality with fashion in terms of like who gets paid and what gets received. So it's a reinstitution of systematic problems. And on top of that, it's also, so models, or what we were told is exemplary or the ideal of what you should be. This is changing a lot. Luckily, there's a lot more, welcome Sheila, there's a lot more openness as to this concept or idea of beauty. There's a lot more allowance for all different types of looks and beings and bodies, but there is still a restriction of it in some ways. And then in terms of beauty, so there are so many fillers and toxins in our beauty products, which is why my focus is on clean beauty. There is power, you guys, there is power in clothes and your style and what you wear and how other people perceive you. There is power in beauty. It is a gift. If it wasn't, God wouldn't have made flowers, right? So there is power in these things, and yet the welcome everyone, the framework that we've been given, that we've been told, oh, beauty is within this container, or this is what makes you beautiful. There are so many toxins within it. So in our actual beauty products, there are chemicals and fillers that are not in alignment and that don't serve us and are actually killing, like literally killing us. So for me, it's about clearing out and helping you to see the ways in which the systems that we've been given to express our creativity, our fashion, our beauty are in themselves toxic. So helping let going of those old systems and those old structures that are toxic, and realigning with healthier systems. Depth of the beauty feeling. So yes, I love that. Exactly. I mean, there's so many. There's Naomi Wolf, who wrote The Beauty Myth years ago. I'm actually really interested in rereading it, but it talks about how this concept or ideology of beauty is so constricted and only allows, there's an intolerance for anything that is not that. Welcome everyone. And also on top of that, so sorry, at the end, I will open this up for questions, but I really want to be able to, because I'm going to repost this, I want to be able to go all the way through. So I'm not ignoring anyone. I will get to your questions or your statements at the end, but it's really important to me to state this all the way through. So stay until the end and feel free to ask me any questions, but right now I just want to get through it. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so what we have been given, particularly women, but women and men, because it is shifting and changing now, where there's more constrictions or structure placed on the male concept of what beauty is, and men have their own, we have different dilemmas that we have to deal with. But particularly for women, right, there is a restriction of, there's like a timeline of, I was saying earlier, where there is like Botox and fillers and all these things where we're like expected to be like big lips and no wrinkles and like this like foreign faces like this and frozen and like not really real, and doesn't allow for our natural beauty to come through. So I believe in highlighting, enhancing the natural beauty, but not constricting and constraining it so much, or not doing it in a toxic way. And even I was stating, even in the as a model, or even models that are held up as the ideology of beauty, and now with Instagram and a lot of that, it's not real. Like there's so much constricting, and there's so much editing and photoshopping and distortion of reality and truth, that even the ones that are within it, even the ones that are told to exemplify that ideal, they have a difficult time doing it. So they're restricting or constricting their intake, their diet, what they're allowed to eat. They're purging or releasing or vomiting or letting go of things that they actually really want to, eat or take in or do, right? There's so much restriction, and even exercise and movement, instead of allowing your body to naturally flow in the way that it wants to, it's like putting constricting exercises or things like a lot of regiment on top of how you naturally are, or what you would naturally look like. Thank you, everyone. What you would naturally look like without all these constrictions. And so I, again, just want to highlight, I'm not anti-beauty. I'm not anti-modeling. I'm not anti-fashion. I'm not anti-cosmetic industry. It's actually the opposite. I'm anti-toxicity. And I'm anti an old patriarchal system that confines and constrains and doesn't allow for the natural innate beauty within us to come through and get highlighted. So the topic is, so again, for anyone that missed it, I have 3 accounts. One is Reclaim the Way, which is life from the inside out, the spirituality, the creativity, the feminist ideas and concepts. One is Model Traveling, which is the outside in, beauty, fashion, travel, consumption, and body. And then the other one is Reclaiming the Way of the Witch. So Reclaiming the Way of the Witch is new, and I'm just going to start putting more focus on it. And it is the culmination of the masculine and the feminine, and grounding and rooting it into earth-based principles, and reclaiming the word witch. So witch as wise, intuitive, teacher, counselor, healer. So all the ways in which the witch was tortured and burned, and all the things that we weren't allowed to be and express, to there's an allowance for that. So that's where the rage and the sexuality and all the phases of the sun and the moon will go on reclaiming the way of the witch. So that sounds interesting to you. Follow me there. So this one and this stream is going to be based on beauty and fashion, and the ways that it has been constricted, and the ways that it has been stifled into a container, which is actually quite toxic, which is toxic not only for women to consume, but putting all these fillers and things within us, and these beauty products that are full of chemicals, and wearing clothes that are full of chemicals and toxic to us, and also toxic to the environment. But on top of that, it's also toxic to men, because it's framing for men, or giving men an ideology of what is the expectation or what is the ideal, when it's not even possible for the people that highlight the ideal to be the ideal naturally, if that makes sense. So again, going back to the examples of the modeling industry and models, I don't know any models that naturally just like look and are that ideal. And if you look at the off-duty look versus the on-duty look, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy that is created through an entire team and Photoshop and clothes and hair and makeup. And there's nothing wrong with fantasy. Look, I'm a fantasy writer. Like I love getting lost in fantasy, and that's beautiful. But let's present it as what it is. Let's be honest and highlight the fact that it is a fantasy. So the Photoshop versions, the fillers in the lips, the fake boobs, the fake booty, the fake all that, it's a fantasy. And let's just own it for what it is and present it for what it is instead of presenting it as truth, because it's not natural. It's not what things are naturally are. Even your clothes that constrict and push up, and again, nothing wrong with that, but let's present it as what it is, because otherwise you get people, both men and women, looking at these pictures, looking at these perceptions, looking at these things, and thinking in their brain that that is ideal, that that is truth. And the people that are holding up, that are representations of these things, can't even achieve those things naturally. They can't achieve them without heavy dieting or heavy workouts or constricting their body or pushing up their body, without filling their body, without enhancing, without distorting, without Photoshop, without an entire team. So just owning things for what they are, and owning the fantasy of fashion, owning the fantasy of beauty, owning the fantasy of pictures, so that you can see and appreciate and be like, oh my God, that's amazing, that's beautiful. But it's also an idealized concept. That when I wake up, that when the model wakes up in the morning, that's not what she looks like. That's why the off-duty version is very different than the on-duty version, right? Thank you. Yes. And again, and it's not about judgment. It's just about, it's about letting go of the old systems and the old constraints that are very toxic, that are toxic to those of us who consume them. And those are toxic to those of us who are looking up or looking to represent them, even us that are supposed to be the idealized representation of it. That it creates an intolerance for what is natural. Think about aging, for example, even aging in women. All of a sudden, if every woman is like this and Botox and filled, and like it creates an intolerance for any wrinkle, any line, any and where are those things created from? They're created from laughter, right? Laugh lines are creating from living life. So allowing yourself to let go of these toxic ideals that we've all been consuming and fed on silver spoons that are actually not in alignment with truth and not natural, and don't serve me or you to consume as reality. Let's allow ourselves to step behind the curtain and see them for what they are. It's a fantasy, and it's beautiful. It's like the Victoria's Secret. It's like, it's a fantasy bra. Okay, great. You own what it is. It's not the reality. It's not the everyday. It's a fantasy. So as we look at these images, as we see them, honoring and recognizing that it's not natural, that these people on their own can't even hold up this ideal. Yeah, so again, going back, thank you, Kings, going back to the toxicity, going back to the toxicity of the things we are told to consume. So the beauty industry, the fashion industry, so much for men, like the protein shakes, the unnatural, again, it's consuming the unnatural, which is harmful to us and harmful to the environment, and against the natural. I'm all for beauty. I'm all for fashion. I'm all for style. I'm all for expression. But let's do it in a way that is more in alignment, that is more natural, and that highlights but doesn't destroy, and that doesn't hide, or that doesn't present something as truth that is not. So just stepping in back into a more aligned, integral, and like aligned with integrity way of presenting the model, the ideal, the exemplary, of presenting beauty and presenting fashion. So I'll leave it open for questions or statements for a minute. I'm going to repost it. I'm having trouble reposting longer videos, so it might go up on my YouTube or my Facebook page. So my Facebook page is Model Traveling. Hopefully I can put it on here, but if not, it will go up on my YouTube or my Facebook page, Model Traveling, so you can see the whole thing the whole way through. But I would love to hear your insights and wisdom, and I will be doing more videos focusing on different aspects. And again, if you want to, if you're interested, welcome everyone. Hi Gary. If you're interested on things from the inside out, reclaiming the way of the witch is the integration of the masculine and the feminine and grounding it in earth-based principles. And Model Traveling is the external beauty, fashion, body, and consumption. So I hope I helped you all in some way. Be the change you wish to see in the world. It begins and ends with you. I'm in California. And how can you realign with your own natural beauty, with your own natural style, with your own natural body that is enhanced and highlighted, but doesn't constrict and destroy and kill? Question of the day. Would love to hear your comments below. Bye, everyone. Thank you.